In a dramatic escalation of the siege, the struggle for control of the river reached a decisive and fiery climax. Facing a tightening blockade and dwindling supplies, John Hunyadi ordered a bold operation that combined fireships and aggressive boarding tactics to shatter the Ottoman naval presence. The attack succeeded in reopening vital supply routes, but the victory came at a heavy personal cost to the exhausted commander. The Ottoman fleet had re-established its formation after earlier clashes, again pressing its advantage on the water. Their ships formed a barrier designed to choke the fortress into submission by cutting off food, weapons, and reinforcements. For the defenders, time was running out. Without a breakthrough, the siege threatened to become unsustainable. Hunyadi and his advisors devised a plan centered on speed, shock, and controlled destruction. Several smaller boats were converted into fire ships, loaded with flammable materials and prepared to be ignited at the moment of attack. These vessels would serve as floating weapons, intended to sow chaos within the tightly packed enemy formation. Preparation for the operation was carried out with urgency and secrecy. Crews volunteered for the dangerous mission, fully aware that steering burning vessels toward enemy ships carried enormous risk. Weapons were readied for close combat, and boarding parties assembled to exploit any confusion created by the fireships. The assault began under favorable river conditions, with currents and wind calculated to carry the burning boats toward the Ottoman line. At the signal, flames erupted from the prepared vessels. Firelight flickered across the dark water as the fireships surged forward, driven by determined crews guiding them on their final course. The sudden appearance of blazing boats triggered immediate alarm among the Ottoman forces. Attempts to maneuver away were hindered by the close spacing of their ships. Within moments, flames spread from one vessel to another. Thick smoke rolled across the river, obscuring visibility and adding to the confusion. Seizing the moment, Hunyadi's combat boats advanced behind the fireships. Boarding parties launched swift attacks against disoriented enemy crews. Close quarters fighting erupted on multiple decks at once. The crackle of flames mixed with the clash of steel as soldiers fought for control amid burning rigging and drifting embers. The aggressive coordination of fire and assault overwhelmed the Ottoman formation. Some ships attempted to withdraw, colliding with one another in the chaos. Others were captured or set ablaze. The once solid blockade fractured into scattered groups, struggling to regroup under relentless pressure. From the fortress walls, observers witnessed the river transformed into a scene of fire and smoke. The defenders understood the stakes of the operation. Success would mean renewed access to supplies and a critical boost to morale. Failure would leave them even more vulnerable. As the battle intensified, Hunyadi remained at the center of command, directing movements and reinforcing critical points of attack. His leadership ensured that the assault maintained momentum despite the dangers posed by fire and shifting currents. Gradually, the Ottoman river force began to collapse under sustained pressure. By the end of the engagement, control of key stretches of the river had shifted. Surviving Ottoman ships retreated to safer distances, conceding the blockade that had strangled the fortress. The reopening of supply routes allowed relief vessels to approach, bringing much-needed provisions and hope to the defenders. The victory, however, exacted a severe toll on Hunyadi himself. Days of continuous strain, sleepless planning, and the physical demands of command had pushed him beyond his limits. In the aftermath of the battle, he showed clear signs of grave exhaustion. Witnesses described a commander weakened by relentless effort, struggling to recover even as his forces celebrated their success. Inside the fortress, the arrival of new supplies marked a turning point. Food, medical materials, and reinforcements eased immediate pressures on the garrison. The successful river assault demonstrated that the siege could be challenged and that bold action could yield tangible results. Yet the condition of their commander cast a shadow over the triumph. Officers moved quickly to maintain operational continuity while Hunyadi's health deteriorated. His illness underscored the human cost of sustained warfare, where even the most capable leaders were vulnerable to the relentless demands of command. The destruction of the blockade reshaped the strategic landscape of the siege. By combining fireships with decisive boarding attacks, the defenders had executed one of the most daring naval operations of the conflict. The river, once a symbol of isolation, became a channel of survival. The episode stood as a testament to ingenuity and determination under pressure. It revealed how unconventional tactics and resolute leadership could overcome numerical disadvantage. At the same time, it highlighted the fragile balance between victory and sacrifice. As the smoke cleared and the river returned to uneasy calm, the defenders faced the continuing challenges of the siege with renewed resources and cautious optimism. Their success on the water had bought precious time. Whether it would be enough to secure lasting survival remained uncertain. What was clear, however, was that the fiery assault had altered the course of the struggle. It reopened lifelines, disrupted enemy strategy, and demonstrated the power of decisive action. Even as their commander lay gravely ill from exhaustion, the defenders carried forward the momentum of a victory forged in fire and risk.